Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at True Believers, Black Widow and the Avengers issue 1. This is a 2020 one-shot from Marvel Comics, reprinting Avengers number 111 from the 1963 series. This issue was written by Steve Englehart, art by Don Heck, Mike Esposito was the inker, John Costanza letterer, David Hunt colorist, Roy Thomas editor. So Magneto has control over some of the Avengers, which apparently happened last issue, as well as some X-Men, actually the majority of the X-Men, and he is currently bragging about his influence because he is able to control the iron in their blood, which I always thought was ridiculous, and they've kind of resurfaced that nonsense in the fairly recent past. Now Magneto can control them like puppets, and he is bragging to Piper, his minion, about his domination over them. So while he makes Scarlet Witch dance for his amusement, the others stand around like automatons. Now the other Avengers are trying to find their friends, and they have recruited Black Widow and Daredevil. Unfortunately, Hawkeye would not join the team because there was a misunderstanding. Black Widow still has some feelings for Hawkeye, but they are no longer together, and she is now dating Daredevil. Now, the rest of the Avengers with these two new associates are on their way to find out what is going on, but Magneto's got his now mind-controlled minions to round up some scientists because he wants to steal some nuclear weapons and blow them up in the hopes of creating more mutants. At this time in Marvel's history, it was accepted that the mutants were created by radiation, and hence the nickname Children of the Atom. Now, they've retconned that many times over the years, but that was the prevailing notion, so Magneto's plan here actually makes a certain amount of sense. He wants to kill off everybody that's not a mutant and make as many mutants as he can using this. Only the strong will survive to him. So the Avengers show up to try and stop him, but they end up having to fight their own teammates. Thankfully, their teammates aren't able to use their skills and equipment like they normally would, because Magneto is using them basically as blind hammers. Daredevil tries to intercept Magneto's ship, but is dealt with, unfortunately. And there is a reference to dinosaurs in here from last issue, which would be Avengers 110, obviously, but we don't really see any, but they just reference it, and thankfully that leads to helping them find where Magneto's lair is. And we learn how Magneto's power got recharged because back in Amazing Adventures 9 and 10, he had been weakened significantly, but he tricked Angel into putting on a costume that would absorb Angel's mutant powers, and Magneto was able to swipe the costume then. So that was a pretty interesting idea. Then thankfully the two teams end up in a big brawl, and our heroes are returned to their normal state. So it's then that the Avengers end up in a big knockdown with Magneto, and one of the Avengers is able to pull off some very cunning guile, and the Avengers add a new member to the team. Overall, it's a pretty decent issue. There's a few really ludicrous parts, and I never liked this thing with Magneto being able to control the iron in people's blood. I always thought that was so overpowered. But as a general rule, I would say it was a fun issue. Even though it's the second half of a two-parter, I didn't have a problem enjoying it. The cover's deceptive, but it is a good cover, and it's nice to see the team members there with Black Widow and Daredevil. And there's some really, really good art in here. Some weak art too, but there's more good than bad. The whole thing with making Scarlet Witch dance for his amusement was kind of weird, because around this time she was thought to be his daughter. But the background sets looked really cool. There's some real Kirby-esque art in here for the equipment. So Don Heck did a pretty good job. He's not as good as some of the other artists they had, but he was definitely better than a lot of the modern artists for sure. And I think the art is solid. It's just not the best they've ever had. So I did enjoy reading this, and I absolutely am going to recommend it. The cover price is $1, and you can still find this in some comic shops for about $1, but most likely you're going to pay closer to the cost of a new issue. And I would say it's easily worth that because this is better written and much more entertaining with a lot more action than anything going on in the 20-page pamphlets they're selling you for $4 now. So more story, better art, better writing, all around a big success, and you don't have to pay what stores are going to charge you for the back issue. So although the paper quality is a little low on this one, it's still going to likely be in better condition for a reasonable price than what you would get the original at. So I would absolutely say check this out if you want to read a good Avengers story. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.